In. Nick Masunda here, folks. Video number 10. I'm going to be talking about comparing different superannuation funds in this video. I've been working in personal finance and life insurance industries for about 7 years, and just with these videos hoping to impart some of that knowledge onto whoever's watching to help them make more informed decisions about their own finances. Without further ado, so when it comes to superannuation, it's a pretty boring topic, so a lot of people just ignore it, but ultimately it's going to be your retirement savings in most cases, so small differences in performance and fees can impact pretty significantly on what you end up with because it's such a long-term investment. So it can be worth having a look at how your fund's performing and what's available, I guess, in the market. And these comparison websites are a really good way to start that investigation. So I looked at a few of the Australian comparison websites. Basically, you've got probably three key ones, right? So there's the ATO website, your super comparison, and then you've got Finder's website, finder.com.au. They compare super funds there as well, and CanStar. And there's pros and cons to each of them. So I'm going to quickly run through them here because ultimately I think Finder's probably the most useful of the three. Oh, and also the industrysuper.com comparison site, which has a bit of a different layout to the other three, a bit of a different structure, but just because of lack of options, it's not quite as useful. So looking here at the ATO website, you've got the list of providers here, and basically you can see the fee, annual fee, and return over 9 years. So you can order the data or sort the data in various different ways to show you the best performers over 9 years, or you might want to do it by looking at who has the lowest fees, etc. You can sort the data in that way. You go to Finder website, similar layout. You've got performance. You can sort the funds in terms of performance, or you can do it in terms of fees as well. Yeah, so very similar. And again, then you've got the CanStar website. CanStar website, one of the downers about the CanStar website is that there's only a 5-year performance option. There's no 10-year. Well, the ATO option was 9-year rather than 10-year, but nonetheless, 5 years, it's just a bit shorter of a time frame to make a call about the performance of a long-term investment like superannuation. The thing that I like about the Finder website, which in my opinion puts it head and shoulders above the other websites, is that they have so many different investment options. Okay, so you've got growth, you've got high growth, conservative, balanced, etc. Whereas with CanStar and the ATO website, you've basically got my super options or balanced option. That's it. So if you're interested in something outside of those sort of standard investment options at your super fund, they become next to useless. So that's probably the key reason as to why the Finder website I think is the most useful. Just having a quick look at this industry super.com comparison tool. This is kind of cool because it's a bit of a different layout to the other three, but so you can, for example, choose an industry fund, choose a retail fund. They only allow you to compare industry funds with retail funds for whatever reason, but outside of the unique layout, which I should probably have a quick look at as well, just putting some arbitrary figures here just to get an output. So you got your fees. It shows you for 100k, 50k, 5k what the fees would be. It compares. So we're looking at Australian Super Balanced Option versus Macquarie Wrap Super Manager Vanguard Growth Index Fund. And you can see the difference between the two. The green line is an industry average. But look, basically, I'm getting a bit carried away with showing you this because ultimately I don't think it's as useful as the Finder website, mainly because you can't choose the different options there, right? And like Macquarie Wrap, you can invest in so many different funds and options, but this website limits you to whatever the default is. So anyway, Finder website I think is the most useful because of those reasons. Now, when you are comparing your superannuation, you have to be conscious of fees and performance. These are the two key metrics that you want to compare your funds based on. Okay, so obviously you want a fund that has a history of higher returns and lower fees. So you would maybe go onto the website here, the Finder website, and sort based on fees or sort based on 10-year performance. Okay, and like you can see here, without doing any filters and only simply sorting based on performance on the Finder website, here you can see Australian Retirement Trust International Shares Index unhedged. This is the investment option that's got the best return, and they actually have relatively low fees as well. If we have a look at sort based on fees, you can see the lowest fee option here is with Q Super International Shares, $155. So that Australian Retirement Trust option is doing pretty well, and it has quite good performance. Now, a couple of quick things here. I couldn't for the life of me find on the Finder website if these performance figures were net of fees or not. So typically super funds and managed funds will quote their performance net of fees, but they may do it gross of fees, right? Which basically means that they haven't taken the fees out of the performance yet, so it looks better. So you want to look at the net of fees performance, and I'm not sure if this is or is not net of fees. So you want to cross-check this with the website. I did a couple of cross-checks with different super funds. There were a few small discrepancies, but yeah, for the most part, it's pretty close. But nonetheless, if you're using this tool and you settle on something and you're interested in potentially investing with that fund, you definitely obviously want to go and check the website and see the final performance figures and read the PDS. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to touch on here is if you are doing this comparison, you've got to take into consideration risk, which is basically reflected in the investment option. Investment options again being like conservative, balanced, growth, high growth. You can't compare a growth option from one fund with conservative option from another fund. It just doesn't make sense. The conservative option is going to have lower performance 9 times out of 10, but the difference is it also has lower risk, so there's going to be less volatility in your portfolio, which some people are more comfortable with, or people who are getting closer to retirement may be more comfortable with. So this has to be taken into consideration. So one thing you can do, just quickly looking here on this Finder website, is risk level. You can choose. So you might go high growth, and that's just going to filter out all the other investment options, and you're going to see only high growth. So you can do reasonable comparisons between those different funds. Now, one of the factors in investing that I'm acutely aware of is whether the investment philosophy is passive or active. Okay, passive funds are typically index funds, right? Coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, the Australian Retirement Trust investment option here that's performed the best is an index option. Okay, so I did a whole video about this, but basically the index options, the fund managers make less decisions, they don't pick stocks, and they charge less fees generally, which can on average result in better performance. On average, there are definitely exceptions to this, but this list on Finder is not exhaustive, right? There's definitely options that are missing. For example, a little bit of bonus material for the people here. If we have a look at Rest Super, you can see these are, take off that that filter there. These are all the rest super investment options that are available on Finder website. Okay, now I know that Rest has index investment options, and they have lower fees and they perform relatively well, and they're relatively high risk as well. Okay, but they don't show up on here. Definitely something worth checking out if that sort of aligns with your investment philosophy. If you want to learn more about that, check out the video. I'll put it in the notes, a link to that video, passive versus active investing. I think it's pretty much it actually, guys. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that short one. Hopefully that was useful. Until next time.